There's a push right now to remove police officers from California public school campuses, but removing cops from campus is the opposite, some say, of what is needed to improve police and community relations. With us to talk more about that is San Diego County Board of Education board member Mark Powell. Mark, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me tonight.
All right, so you have an idea of actually, you yourself are a former San Diego Reserve police officer, so you know all about this. So you have an idea of actually not taking police out of schools, but integrating them and making them like educators. Explain that to us.
Okay, so if we want to start reforming the police and start the healing process, removing police from the equation and the conversation is just opposite of what we need to do. My plan is to integrate police officers right into the classroom, turning them into essentially part-time teachers. They may teach 1 or 2 periods a day in uniform, so they look just as they look when they're doing law enforcement on the streets. In that way, the parents, the students, and the teachers start to develop positive interactions with police. Because let's face it, most interactions that people have with the police, although they may not be negative, they're either getting a ticket or it's some type of a law enforcement issue. I'm saying that we need to change the role of some police officers and make them educators as well.
I had coaches who taught, social studies or something in school. What kind of subjects are you thinking that police officers should teach?
Well, when we started a program back in the 80s called DARE, I remember, because I was a classroom teacher back then, the police officers actually came in the class and they taught about substance abuse education. And I vividly remember how happy the students were to see the police in the classroom. What was not realized, though, was that it had such a positive impact, maybe not the program, but the interactions with the kids had a positive impact. They saw the police officers as human beings, like a regular teacher. So I'm proposing that they can teach any subject that they believe that they're qualified for. They will serve more like a teacher assistant instead of a full credential teacher.
And so would this be something that could be for all grade levels?
Oh, absolutely. I think the healing process should start in elementary school. We want people to trust and respect the police, especially in those marginalized neighborhoods, the ones that are hurting. And make no mistake about it, there is some abuse. Well, there is a lot of abuse that goes on in some areas. And what we need to do is we need to make sure that people are not scared of the police. And the best way to do it is to start when they're young. Let's have the police and the community start the healing process. But if you're not going to talk to the police and you're just going to remove them from the school, how can that help? And especially whenever we see how tragic as it is, a school shooting, everybody's up in arms to say we need more police on the campus, we need more security. It's counterproductive to remove them from the school, but changing some of the officers' role could heavily influence and change the way the public perceives police and the way police perceive some of the students in school.
Mark, is this something that you are pitching to the school board? I mean, what are the next steps here?
Absolutely. I'm going to pitch this to our school board, and I'm also going to pitch it to police departments. Look, this is nothing new. San Diego implemented community-oriented policing back in the 80s, where the officers became part of the community, and that helped reduce crime and it helped stabilize communities. If you reduce the number of officers, we're not going to be able to do that. So I'm going to work with law enforcement. I'm going to work with my board members. I'm going to bring this up at our next board meeting to see what we can do to help bridge this gap between the perception of law enforcement and actually how they perceive our public, our students.
All right, Mark, you've got some great ideas. You've got some great experience behind that as a former police officer, a former teacher. We appreciate you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.